inching us closer to D23, which is going to be, by the way, the destination and the event that Disney is about to showcase the official Snow White trailer for the world to see. This way a lot of people can actually see what this thing is going to look like and how it's going to be executed visually and in motion. This is Mike Zero, and let's get right into the subject, shall we? Magical creatures inside. The sequence begins to transition to a moment in which she sees the door open with all the seven dwarfs smiling at Snow White, realizing that the queen is for surely dead. This is where they all begin to pick up their instruments and begin to play.
All right, everybody. There was, let me see if I printed it out. I think I did. I need a wife. I need a secretary. I need help in my organizational skills. All right, so no, I guess I don't have it here. Maybe I have it over here. There was a printout on, a filing on Finger yesterday, and I thought I printed it out. But anyway, it was pretty basic. It was just, they were announcing that telling the SEC that they had a legitimate auditor who was sound, and let me just see if I can find it to read it to you. Yeah, of course I don't have it here. I wonder where I put it. Anyway, it was just saying, hey, we got a legitimate auditor. They're good. And then it said there's no insider of the company who owns more than 4.9% of the company who is a member of the Communist Party in China. My read on that is that that's a preparation to something big, but what? I have no idea. I have no idea. No idea. All right. Good afternoon. Are my glasses here? Of course not. Oh, there they are. Way over there. Tell you, my eyes, I don't know if it's the stress. Thank you, R.C. LaBelle. Lucky's doing all right, although he had another issue just moments ago with eating and then not retaining what he ate. So I don't know what that means. I don't think it's good. A fake account on Twitter. Well, you know the account I have, and it has a 1 instead of my D because my account had been, originally it was just my name, and my account had been blocked for something. I think I used the word, a more descriptive word to destroy the shorts. I used a word that was, perhaps used in Arlo Guthrie's song. Anyway, I didn't mean anything by it, but I think they, I just meant it in the financial sense, metaphysical sense. But anyway, they blocked me, and then in order to come back on, at their suggestion, Twitter's, they put a 1 instead of a D in my name. But that's my Twitter account. I don't have any others. And I really have always eating too fast. Right now he's sleeping. Yeah, I think he's ravenous inside, like he's got tapeworms. But he's not on prednisone anymore. I took him off of that. But anyway, I don't do any outreach with my Twitter in terms of asking people to send money or donate to this or, so I didn't know I had fake ones, but I am feeling. Thank you, Kathy. I'm feeling better. I don't know what it was. I think partly it's the heat. I suppose if there's stress, it could be stress. But I tell you what, it might be is I'm having an attack of gout, minor attack of gout. It could have just been the sign that gout was coming through my body. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but something hit me. I think you saw it. It's like my blood just left my head, or some weird thing. Trump. If I say Trump, they'll probably give me a strike. I'm just reading somebody else's post. I follow the science. I follow the elections. And I'm on the side of the most popular president in the history of the United States. MULN filed a lawsuit today. Wow. You sold at 528 and bought at 540. I got a bout of Gensleritis. That's right. You sold at 528 and bought at 540? That's kind of weird. Buenos dias. Oh, you had to have one put down? I hope he gets better. I hope he gets better. My dog was great this morning. We stopped for coffee and he said hi to 3, 4, 5 patrons with his big smile and his big wagging tail. And then he went to sleep. And then he met the vet's assistant on the way home and he wagged his tail and he was all happy. So he's well, 504. That's good. It's a nice trade. Yeah, the election variant is coming out, and I'm gonna take it seriously. Follow the science, but I think it's pretty clear that. Our next president is going to be well chosen, carefully selected by America. Thank you. Do I ever think lucky is the best part? Yeah, I think lucky is definitely the best part. And I also think lucky teaches me lessons that I'm supposed to know. I think dogs teach you, one, of course, the problem with it is if we all lived like dogs, we'd get nowhere. But I think they prepare you. They prepare us for, just things like enjoy life in the minute. If you're disappointed, forget about it and look forward to the next bit of time. And he's been great. Let me look at Mullen, the Gensler Series A shares. I love it. I love it. Let's see how MULN is trading. Yeah, fingers at $5. That's a nice trade, Fahad. Don't do that too often. Or do it as often as you want. I'm not telling you. But I've been thinking, look at MULN down. So the lawsuit story is not available. But the headline says, files lawsuit against large stock brokerage firms, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, NFS, and others. Wow, that's great. I've been realizing I called it, at least amongst friends and in my gut, but I didn't follow it. I It really bothered me that we were hoping for an August run in Finger because it's when everybody takes vacation. Everyone's away from their desk. And everyone told me, "Oh no, you're crazy. It can run." Well, guess what? Monday is. That's Labor Day. So it's feeling like everything's going to happen after people return to their desks after Labor Day. But why do I tend to cry after a beloved dog passes? Well, the problem with dogs is they're not human. I don't know why we call it a humane reserve, humane society. Humans are not humane. And Korean Yoon, being respectful, of course, but that's my proof for God's existence. Because somebody has to love all the human beings out there. I can't do it. You can't do it. I don't think we have it in us to love every single human being. We can love them in theory, but one-on-one, we don't have it. But with animals, I love all animals. Although that's another problem I have with human beings. I saw a picture of a group of guys. Oh, that's what it was. It was an alligator they caught, an 800-pound alligator. And I actually felt sorry for the alligator, although I'm sure there's plenty of alligators in the world. But I don't know why we have to kill animals when we don't need to. Yeah, dogs are loyal to the end. And it's not just stupid loyalty. I think it's they pay attention. But cats are a little different. Cats are loyal, but cats can shift. But I think cats almost have ESP or something because once they pick who they want, they got them, and it's a different kind of thing. Dogs just come in just assuming. Their goofball antics are going to be accepted. All right, so Fingers at $5. The volume is almost 400,000. Believe it or not, I think it's a good day today. It was as high as 538. You hate dogs. You can hate dogs. A lot of people hate dogs. I don't know why you would hate dogs. Maybe they offend you in some way, or you're afraid of them. Or maybe that you don't find them particularly clean. I didn't like cats, but I had a couple. I had three, and I really liked them. And you can get attached. I don't think I'll ever have cats again, but I might. We'll see what God has in mind. But there's lots of people that don't like dogs, and I think they're missing out. Just like guys that don't like girls, I think they miss out. Or maybe they're smart. Oh, this is a stupid book. I have a book on Wall Street slang. but it's all stupid. Here's Bernard Baruch's much quoted advice. Beware of barbers, beauticians, waiters, or anyone else bringing gifts of inside information. It feels like that in our experience right now. What happens when you cross a pig with a Wall Streeter? Answer: there are some things even a pig won't do. Dicker? The brokerage firm of Tout, Ticker, Dicker, and Churn. Tout, Ticker, Dicker, and Churn. That doesn't sound... And then a brokerage firm of Dewey, Screw'em, and Howe. That doesn't sound very funny. Bucket shops and boiler rooms. That's what the Kramers run, is a bucket shop, boiler room. Very funny. First arb, that's an arbitrageur. First arb, are you going to the concert tonight? Second arb, no, who's singing? First arb, Dennis Levine. See, that's when he got arrested. And he worked with Beskey, but you guys don't remember Ivan Boesky. Here's frivolous. This is about frivolous forecasting, and this is a Wall Street rhyme. Buy and you'll be sorry. Sell and you will regret. Hold and you will worry. Do nothing and you will fret. One broker says to the other, "How come you look so glum today?" The other replies, You'd look glum too if you had arteriosclerosis. I can't pronounce that. At 45. That's nothing, counters the first broker. I had internal combustion at 103. Ha 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 ha. It slays me. That's so funny. Okay. I'll try to find one more of these bon mots, and then we'll get back to work. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Now, here's something on John Kennedy. Let's see what it said. Let's see what it said on John Kennedy. Joseph Kennedy. It is commonly held that a bear market begins when everything is brightest and the public is the most bullish. Hence Joseph Kennedy's reaction to the shoeshine boy. while a bull market emerges when all is darkest, and the public is deserting the market. Let me see if I can find that Kennedy story. I'm sure you all know it. I'm sure. All right, let's get back to work. Let's get back to work. All right, it's 1:54. My parakeet thinks Finger will run when he's low on birdseed. I want to buy the lotto. Well, I don't think you're going to have enough time. I think Finger's going to run very soon. Very funny. Did you hear the joke about the 3 FBI agents who walk into a bar? That's it. The rest of the joke has been redacted. My wife's boyfriend says Finger's getting ready to pop. Yeah, Brandon Fox, if there's only 24 million Finger at the DTCC, couldn't we show the SEC and prove it to them? Yeah, but they don't care. Others have done that. One CEO, I'm trying to remember the company, he purchased the entirety of his own company's float, and he went to the SEC. They did nothing about it. This is designed to make money for Goldman Sachs and all of Wall Street. I simply narrow it down to Goldman Sachs for drama, I guess, but also because that's where Gary Gensler's from, and it's how Goldman Sachs makes money. Moving over to crypto. Well, be careful over there. Anything new on Finger? I don't think there's anything new from what we've discussed. I think the trading in it is new. Obviously, every day is new. But the stock's at 503, and they clearly don't want it over 5. But you really have to ask yourself, why can't they cover? Why do they keep going? Do they listen to these calls? Probably not. They probably think, who is this guy? And they figure they can just keep selling the stock and it'll go down. It's always worked before. I mean, you have to give credit to the criminal shorts. The reason I call them Gensler shares is there's a confusion. In the United States, there's 4 tickets. 1 is a buy ticket. 2 is the sell ticket. 3 is a sell short ticket, where you locate shares, which costs you money, and you borrow them, which costs you money, and then you sell, and then you deliver those shares. That's legal, and that's that whole BS about the cleansing and how bad all CEOs are, but all the shorts are doing you a favor. Anyway, the 4th ticket is where the fraud occurs. And it's the sale of shares that you don't locate, you don't deliver, you move around, you lie about, you do it short or you mark a long wrong, and you know that Gary Gensler is going to do nothing about it. Because that area business, according to Patrick Byrne, is something like 80% of Goldman Sachs Prime Brokers revenue, and 75% of that is profit. So, all right, it's 1:58, 1 minute, and you won't have to listen to me anymore. You'll be able to hear you'll be able to hear the dulcet tones of the voice. The voice.
Hello.
The voice. Your audience is here, the voice. Are you there? Can't hear him. Can't hear him.
Hello.
The voice. Voice. Audience voice.
Hold on 1 second.
All right.
I think we're live, and there's somebody just walk away for a second. I got to set up. I'm sorry, I'm moving slow today. I was out drinking. I'm your leader, drunk. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick point. Again, this is not to buy or sell. Again, this is for knowledge, expertise about making short selling and the manipulative trading, the patterns that you're going to see. So I have a buddy that's buying 10,000 FNGR. He bid $4.99, and they only show 3,000 shares to buy. They use that so that the stock doesn't show any strength. All right, that's why they never show the 10,000 to buy, because they don't want you to think there's a big buyer. That's the game. That's just another trick in a long line. William, are you hearing this?
I'm hearing it. You're doing great.
Okay, I want to make sure you were not there. So anyway, so that is a trick that the short sellers do, the market makers do. They try everything here is trying to con you into selling your stock. So again, just pay attention to these little tricks, and we get to point them out and see what's going on. But you can see there's always a seller. He's always got 400. They got 400 for sale, and the bid is usually less or smaller. And they're looking for you to hit the bid, and that's what the game is about. As it moves above 5, again, there's different. These guys are trying to just trying to con you into selling. On a different note, let's change it again on Finger. Today, the option guys changed they added $half strikes. So now we have the 2 calls, 2.5s, 3.5s, 4.5s, 5.5s. This is a technique, okay, that is used for them to give them some more wiggle room to play around with options. Okay, they may buy calls and short the stock, but there's not enough activity. So that's making it the spread. They're making half-point options because they want to get more activity in the calls. All right, this is going to end badly for them. This is just another trick to try to create some more activity, more action in the stock so they can play games. All right, but again, this is late in the game for them. These are signs of weaknesses, not signs of strength. All right, they're looking to create more activity so they can play games, and it's basically it's only hurting them now. It's not a positive. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Finger motion. I told you about the big bids that they hired. All right, you saw them walk it down from 538. If you just go to barchart.com and hit the daily interactive chart, you can see the 1-day chart, and you can see the sell orders just keep coming in. It was about 40,000 shares. They sold it down from 538. And over a 20-minute period, they marked it back down to where we are now. All right, so again, as far as I'm concerned, accumulation is always leads to higher prices. All right, no volatility. Remember, they need volatility. No volatility, and that's what hangs them. All right, when there's no volatility, there's no action for them, and that's what kills these guys. All right, so with the stock going sideways and people throwing bids out there for 10,000 shares, big buyers standing around, you know what? That takes the volatility out of the stock. Remember, these guys, if they thought they can win, they let the stocks go higher. The manipulation down is a clear sign that they're in trouble. These are all signs of something's about to happen on the upside, because these are signs of death for the short sellers. I know it takes time. I can't make it happen. I can't believe that these guys are still trying to stand here. A gentleman asked me the other day, I kept saying it's 167 million. He couldn't believe it. I said, make it any number you like. So he came back and said, you know what, how about 80? I said, well, you try to cover 80 million shares when the stock trades 400,000 shares. It's impossible. So that's what we're looking at. Pick any number you like. If you don't believe the 167, pick any number you like. The 167, and I'm sure William will, he's watched as many trades as I have. Do you see them covering, William?
I didn't see him cover, but I get that argument all the time. Well, those numbers don't show the covering. Well, the volume doesn't show the covering either. The price action doesn't show covering.
Right. So if they're selling it short, at the end of the day, we get the data, or in the morning, we get the data. If they're selling stock short at lower levels and trying to buy it back, if they sold it down yesterday, down to 490, I think that's where we closed, and today the stock moves above 5, all the shares they sold yesterday are just more stock, more shares underwater. So again, these are terrible, terrible trading patterns. There's no one on the street would allow anyone on a desk to take positions like this. So this is all fraudulent activity. Okay, the SEC condones this activity. And now it's come to the point where it is a life-changing event. The prime broker, all right, the DTC, is going to be a life-changing event because they're going to take a bloodbath here. And on the long side, we know it. We're going to expose these characters. And it'll be life-changing for the longs. All right, so that's the game here. That's what we see. Okay, you make your own determinations. Again, I can't tell you to buy it or sell it. But like lottery, you got to be in it to win it. So, again, if you bought one share for yourself and you can say, I'm part of it, and I can see how it goes, think about if you owned one share at GameStop when I reported it at 3 3/4 and it went to 500. You may not be rich off of it, but you've been part of history. All right? That's sometimes more important as a trader to say, hey, you know what? I did it myself. When people would tell me, the guy, just make sure you own something, I sit there, if I can't play it big, I don't want to own it. I didn't want to get involved. And if I told you about all the things I heard about over my career, if I did play small instead of being a big, disgusting animal, I probably would have made more money with the small positions because they went up so much higher, and I wasn't concerned. I wouldn't have been concerned about owning 1,000 shares, and I would have held on to those much longer and let my profits run. But when you play bigger, you can sit there and say, I need just to make $1, and I could be up 30,000. What do I need more for? Then I watch the stock grow from a $5 or a $10 stock, and in 2 years the stock's worth 300. Owning 1,000 shares, I would have made more money. But that's a different way of trading. That's a way of investing, and that's something people have to look at. So being small, don't look at it as a negative. It's a learning experience, and you get to understand about the equity markets if you're new to it. If you're new to the option market and you just don't understand it, buy one call, see how it reacts, learn about it. Again, it's a learning experience, and I wish I could say that it was free. You can paper trade it. Write it down on paper. I like to buy the $5 September calls at 95 cents and see what happens. Right? At least understand it. You have to teach yourself. This is real time. This is real money. This is a live game. It's like I want to say call it a crap game or a roulette wheel, but you have to understand it. People study blackjack. People study how to play roulette or dice. You just don't go out there and just throw your money around because you'll just lose. So you have to understand what you're doing. So pay attention. The education, we're giving you it all the little tricks that these guys try to use. We're trying to help you out with that. Yesterday, I met Busy Brands. He's a big bastard, like 6'6", I think he is. Good-looking guy. So girls, be careful, that guy, Busy Brands. All right, he's our guy. Anyway, what else? I met a bunch of other guys also last night, and obviously we were out drinking. But any questions, William?
Lots of them.
Shoot.
Is the $5.28 number still a trigger point?
Yes, nothing has changed. We put the data up there every day. I didn't get it today. I got up late, but I'll get that information. And as they sell it lower, that number drifts a little lower. So again, there's so many shares that they're sold, it's not going to trade. I don't think we could get that number down anymore. I think that's over with.
Right. Well, still, that's where we seem to be trading.
We went right above it, and then it pulled back again. It's the same patterns. Just go back. You've seen the same patterns when it broke about last time. It went through. It went to 7. Then they knocked it back down again, and went to 6. They knocked it through the number again. But these numbers, if you just look at the first option strike we roll in, they closed it at 4 from 7, right? They knocked it down. The last option period that just expired, it closed at 5. So actually we're moving on up, right? We were 4 was the last option. The last time was 5. So all these attempts to keep trying to hold it down are not working, and that is the sign of accumulation because it keeps moving higher.
One guy's asking you, how many times do you think the float in GTII and or Finger have been bought and sold over and over?
I met with investors yesterday. Friends of mine, a friend of mine that I haven't seen who lives out in Las Vegas. He showed up. I thought he had 250,000 shares in Finger. He owns 780,000. Again, people just the numbers in both stocks just don't make sense anymore. They're just enormous. It's just crazy that the numbers that people own, regular people. He's not a money manager. He's a wealthy family member, but I thought he had 250,000, and he's showing me his positions. He's got 700. I think it was 80,000. I forgot the number. So people like that are putting this stuff away, and they're wealthy people, that do their homework, and it's a lot of money. 800,000 shares at $5. It's a lot. As you think about that, it's a lot of money. So there's a lot of smart people here accumulating it. Again, the attempts to keep knocking it down, if you can't see the difference from the attacks, you can see it slowed down. They're not really driving it down to, below $1. That's all over with, all that nonsense. All right, the company is standing. It's got money. Everything's positive. So it's just a matter of time, in my eyes, that this thing, I think, is going to explode.
Did you see the news on MMAT? I didn't, but somebody
No, I did not. I'm sorry. I was out drinking till 2 in the morning, which was 5 o'clock in New York time. And I think
You're
it's
so proud of that. That must be the first time in your life you were out drinking. MULN also had news.
I'm not saying. I missed the news because I was out drinking. I'm sorry. What can I tell you?
Yeah, you're a big boozer.
Yeah. I'm not good at it, but I tried.
Can't read my writing there. It seems like $5 is a big number to the shorts, is it?
Listen, every day is a crazy number. Was it 5, 527? Is it 5? Is it 4? It doesn't make a difference. Some people think it's margin because brokers can now buy it on margin. Okay, I'm not a broker. I don't know anybody that's actually sitting buying this stock on margin. It's a $5 stock, not a $500 stock. So, to sit here and tell me I'm not going to buy the stock because of margin, that's pretty idiotic. If you knew the stock was going to go to 5 to 200, you'd be sitting here waiting. I got to wait till it goes over 5 to buy it. That's nonsense. So I don't believe it means anything.
They're putting that same question up again. I asked Ham already how many times he felt the float had been turned over, and he gave the answer.
It's turned over. You mean people buying it and selling it, or the shorts just flooding the market?
Well, I guess you could answer it either way, but just how much shorting and then buying, how much is...
Listen, the shorts do not buy it back, so get that through your head, all right? This is complete nonsense. They do not cover. There's this perception in the newspaper that the shorts are covering. They do not cover. Just look what they did to AMC. Everyone, the short interest is going through the roof recently. They don't cover. They're here to drive this thing down as much as they can. It's the same nonsense.
Why
when
does
they cover,
Oh, sorry.
They're either taking in a profit or they're covering to take a big loss. So the game has been rigged. Why would you cover when the game has been rigged for so long? Now that we expose them, now you have a different game. I told you, once we break through the wall and we kill one of them, it's going to be a bloodbath for them.
Why does the price only rise on high volume and then it drops massively on low volume?
That's because of, remember, people, when you buy a stock, most of us just buy it, invest, and disappear and go play golf and do what you do, right? The short sellers are sitting here every second of the day, pre-market, during the day, and then after the market closes. They're playing games to manipulate it. They're doing everything they can. They're like the devil. They're doing everything they can to get you to panic and sell. That's their job. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. That's what, everything about them is that. So, this is what they do. We buy the stock. When there's no buy orders, they manipulate it down. They sell it back and forth. They hit any small bids that are out there. And retail people are usually not set up, to sit there and watch it all day. You buy it, you get hit, and that's it. You go away. There's not much more you can do after you do your purchase, right?
That's right. How was the meeting with the fund yesterday?
Everything went fantastic. It's all great. Everything on my end is like lights out, super confident. Everyone's in a good state. Everyone understands the fraud. Data, proof. You can't shoot that down. Okay? This nonsense that these short sellers try to post it, you can't. The game they're exposed. There's nothing else I could say.
One gentleman noticed really large spreads occasionally today. Is that a good sign?
Yes. They're backing away. These are spread. Remember I told you before, when there's a big spread, that chases away buyers. If I was going to buy 10,000 shares and I'm bidding 502, I got to pay up to 5.25 to actually buy this stock. A lot of people say, I'll just sit here and wait. That's stopping the buying. If I was the short seller, in finger motion, the market in the stock would be 502 bid, and my offer would be $9. I wouldn't sell one share. If we're all holding on, and the market is 502 to 9, most people will start to give up because no one's paying up because the spread's too big. The problem is if they did that, and I just bought 100 shares at 9. That would trigger a margin call because the stock is trading at 9. That's why they don't make it that big. They're trying to make it like you see now, 502 to 507. They're trying to discourage people. So if you were buying it and you wanted to buy 1,000 shares, I would say buy 250 at 7. You buy 250 at 505, and you hold back 500 shares in case they try to hit it at 5. And this way you get like a 504 average. You know what? I told you Wall Street's about pennies. It's important to get it on your terms so you can build your position in. So think about if you're buying 50,000 shares, you buy 10,000 at 510, and then you work it to see if they hit the bids down. At least you have a position then. Does everyone understand that?
Yeah. One of your followers is at the casino in the Catskills, and she had a great time. So I think she actually did go drinking, unlike you.
She went drinking also?
Yeah. She's got a
I was drinking champagne like a champagne girl that I am.
Why should we believe the shorts are in trouble when they can walk the price down at will anytime?
Yeah, well, if they thought they can win, they let it go higher, right? That's all you have to understand. It's not pushing it down. It's that they can't let it go higher, all right? That's the key. The walk down is to get you to panic. If they thought they can win, why not they just march it down to $1? Right? Go sell it down to $1. Go ahead, knock yourself out. They won't do it because they know they have a problem here.
because they'll end up having sold a lot of stock. They
They're
can't.
going to be selling a lot more stock, and they can't hide it anymore. A friend of mine just texted me he's going to pay up to $5.10 for some stock. So this is how it goes. People see it. They can see the stock is not, the volatility's out of the stock. When volatility's out and accumulation is in, the stock will rise. That's how it works. So if they want to play the games, the shorts, if they're listening, keep selling it down. I'm sure there's some smart people sitting here accumulating whatever you want to toss at us. Knock yourself out. Again, if you're looking for it, there's 5-10 bid, just like I said.
Why did the stock go to 538 today and then didn't go
In
higher?
the
Why
morning,
did it get?
this is what they did. They tried to create volatility. They moved back on the morning, let the stock open up and start moving up higher, and then they sell it right down quickly. So there's your volatility. They want you to think that the buyers were coming in, the buyers quit and they walked away and they move it back down. But once they see the buyers come step back in, like you're seeing now, what does the stock do? It moves right back up again.
What is the maximum number of shares that the shorts can cover in a single day?
What is the maximum amount?
Of shares they could cover in a day.
That's a tough question because if they're not selling, it's going to be impossible to cover, right?
Right.
So that's number one. So answering that question on an amount doesn't make any sense. If they're trying to cover and they're selling it to themselves as a wash trade, they can do this all day long. But obviously, every time they do something, it's costing them money, right? So again, every time they play, Wall Street is not free. Everyone's paying a fee to manage this position, cover interest on this position. This is a bleeding pig for the short sellers. They are bleeding. Okay? And you can sit there and say, well, but think about losing a penny a day. 1 penny a day. That's 5 cents a week. All right? Think about that. 20 cents a month. The numbers, the most they can make right now if it went to zero is 5 to 0. It's $5. And every day, just like I described here, they're losing a penny a day. Just like anyone else who has a business, you have to open your doors, you got to turn the lights on, pay the electricity, pay your prime broker, pay fees to brokers, to all this stuff. It costs money. And each month, let's say they're losing 25 cents a month. Every 4 months, they're losing $1. That's the problem.
Which brokerage firms are most associated with short selling and which ones are not?
On the NASDAQ, they're using these platforms, so you can't really, we don't know who's directing what orders. They hide it, so it's tough to tell. But on the smaller stocks, we could see it, the Alpines, these market makers that, ASCM, obviously the bigger names, we've seen Citadel, we know Canaccord. But you see Vertical, VERT. VERT was a paid assassin in GTII for months. They must have did 30 or 40 million shares way back around $1. And that's that guy, Rob Fancy Pants, that's on Twitter. Rob Schaefer, that's his name.
Oh, yeah. Do you think it'd be a good idea for a big brokerage firm to promote Finger and have a road show, for example, or is that a stupid idea?
I don't really think that these firms, these firms don't look for the easy money. The easy money is to doing the road shows on these big stocks. Why? Because, a Goldman Sachs, for example, they can promote an upgraded Federal Express and do a road show. It's an easier thing to do, less risk, and there's more money for them, more trading activity. These guys do funding for these companies, big bonds. There's a lot of stuff goes on. These smaller companies, what are you going to do a roadshow in Finger? What are you going to make from it? If they ever raise money, they're going to come back to us. Who cares? It's a lot of work for a big player to do that. You don't see it anymore. These trade shows, The trade shows around the country are mostly virtual now, so people aren't really traveling. It's a different world than it was before. Whoever asked that question has got to be someone that's a little bit older, that knows the past, not the future. Where it's at now.
And the past was just okay.
No, in the past there were road shows every day, everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Everyone had road shows.
Yeah.
Now it's not like that anymore. Most of the money is managed money, and the game has changed. Before it was mostly a stock game, right? Firms would get behind, I'll just use an old name like an Upjohn or whatever the stock was. They would get behind these names. The analysts would cover it, do their channel checks. You get a wisp of it. Was a whole thing. That industry is basically dried up.
Did you see the hit piece in Seeking Alpha on GTII?
I could care less. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't read it. Someone told me about it. Why would I waste my breath? Who would waste their time writing a story about that? Would it be a long? Would it be somebody who has no interest in the stock, just decided to write a story about it, do some research on it? Or is it a short seller that's being paid, or someone that's being paid to write the story? That stock is about stock settlement. That's all it's about. These are different stocks. Finger Motion has all the fundamentals, the money, everything's in place. So for those who think that companies are attacked because they're bad companies, Finger Motion is a good company under attack. GTII is not the great company, but it's building. Why are they attacking it? Because they think they can and write these stupid stories.
Are the whales buying
all they're trying
Finger?
to do is get you to sell. That's all they want you to do is sell.
Sorry, I
How
overspoke.
about someone write a story that we contacted the SEC and we got the actual proof from Tom Rock, or speak to Tom Rock and let him do a story and say, okay, this is what Tom Rock believes. It's 167 million shares. How do we know they are covered? Well, you can look at the trading, and they have not bought anything back because they keep selling. The numbers keep increasing. They're not decreasing. They're increasing. Write that story, and then you can piss on the company's fundamentals. Well, you know what? We can't get proof of naked short selling, even though I tried to reach everyone in the game. So we can only sit there and say, well, if Tom Rock is not going to work with us, then we have nothing here. Then we can piss on the company's fundamentals. But until they do that, it's nonsense.
Are whales buying Finger?
We'll see. Keep an eye on it. I can't tell. I don't control the buy orders. A friend of mine, I just told you, went to pay $5.10. He went to go buy it. So my friends are following it. They heard the stories. They see the proof. We look at what they think, what's going on here. It's everything's been presented. Everyone on this phone call who has listened has heard the same story over and over again. It hasn't changed. The only thing that changes is the naked short number goes higher, and that means that the ceiling is going higher where we're going to.
What if Jeffries pulls an Alpine? Could that mean that Finger doesn't get a buy-in?
Jeffries is a $7 billion or $6 billion public company. Alpine is just a shithole. It's very different. They're not going to pull that. They will take a lump, try to figure out a way to minimize the damage, and I assume that's going on. But again, this is something. These guys have many, like Alpine. How many LLCs did Alpine have? I forget the real Dodger put that up there many times, and I reposted it. Do you think Lynn and their offshore friends don't have a daisy chain of LLCs that they're hiding transactions in? So until the fuse starts, all it takes is one broker, one prime broker telling them to stop it. We won't take your orders anymore. The game is over. All the offers on the stock will disappear, and the stock will be impossible to buy. So if you're looking to buy it, you got to buy it when they're selling it, because when they stop selling it, it will be impossible to buy, and that's when you get an HKD and the stock goes to thousands of dollars. It was impossible to buy for the shorts.
Lou from Brooklyn says hello and asks you, how's the documentary doing?
I said, Lou, thank you for calling in. I believe that first they call it a sizzle reel or what do you call it? The trailer will be out in the first week in September. And I believe they're working on getting the full documentary sold to a provider, and we'll see it on TV. But thank you again, and we'll look forward to see you in D.C. again. So get that striped tie. Get ready.
By the way, Jenny says hello to Busy Brands, and her husband is probably just as tall as he is. But she says hello to you too.
What are they feeding these people out west? Everybody's gigantic.
No, here's another question. All right. Can you talk about GTII, because some people think this is a bait and switch?
GTII and Finger Motion flip-flopped. I thought GTI was going first. Finger Motion flip-flop, took off, and now it's the leader. That had nothing to do with that. I go with the flow. GTII, when the money flows out of Finger Motion, I don't know what people are doing that own Finger Motion. They could go about their life, go do whatever you like. People I know are circling back, and we'll have a new source of funds. Remember, a lot of people bought Finger Motion down below 3. All right, so they're up good money already in this thing. When that happens, they were going to rotate back into GTII. I think that is a tremendous thing that the people actually understand. There's over 400, I'll say maybe up to 450 million. Remember, you sell 200,000 shares a day. That's $1 million a week. That's $4 million a month. So for those who think the number doesn't go up because it's not trading 50 million shares a day, you have to understand these numbers are massive, and they keep going up. All right, so these things have a life of their own, and they do. The numbers just keep growing up. Make it 100,000 a day. It's 500. It's 2 million a month. They add up fast, and you have to understand that. So for those who think the number is too big, these numbers just grow enormous very quickly.
Well, look at MMTLP. It's rumored to be 500 million shares,
right?
That were shorted that don't exist, or more. It could be more than that.
Right.
And on that topic, you met with Busy Brands. People are asking, did you guys discuss MMTLP? Is there anything else going on there?
No, we did not discuss that. Hold on a second. So by the time he showed up, I was already about 45 drinks into the. I'm sorry,
I can't believe you. When you're dotage, you're going into pot and booze.
Yes, I'm a pothead now, and so I took my gummy at 3 a.m, and it's sort of whatever got me real screwed up because I'm half asleep and half drunk. So, but I have to get back to normal. But no, I don't remember what we discussed. He's a gentleman. I appreciate everything he's done. Everyone introduced him to everybody. And he's a great voice, and he's here to help you. We did discuss education. That's our most major thing that we all agree on. And I was going to jump on his call later, but he's doing some stuff, and he wasn't able to do it. But again, education. He believes this is the key to this whole thing, and that's what I've always said. So as long as you understand it, you understand the crooks, you understand the loopholes. Everybody, the SEC knows about it. The Economist knows about it. I put the stories up there from going back in time. and we just happened to catch Lynn Partners, who had a debenture and is now exposed. All you have to do is go back and look at the timeline when the company reached out and did a deal with Lynn. Look at the activity and the volume as soon as they showed up. They drove the stock down from 9 when it was listed on the NASDAQ to below $1. Then it took off. They defended it, and they wanted to try to convert stock at the lowest possible point, and now they're trapped. And this is how it begun. No one else would be shorting this stock unless they had ties to a debenture. The debenture was gone, removed, and now these guys are exposed, and they're just trying to protect what they were doing that was fraudulent before. Now it's how it's gotten worse. And the problem is, they never thought they were guys like Busy Brands or Dozer or Big RJ or Richard Hoffman and everybody understanding this stuff. Guys like yourself, you know. Everybody understands it. Everyone's teaching each other. Everyone comes up with questions, and it's just great. That's just a conversation. We need to talk about it. Listen, I don't know every gory detail on the prime broker and their lending and their fees and how much it's costing them, but it does cost them money every day to stay alive. And just reverse it. If you're selling a stock at $5.29, and that's their average price, each day they lose money. That number goes lower. The most they can make is $5.28, then $5.27. It just keeps going lower. And after 3 years of this nonsense, whatever, how long we've been trapped with Lynn now, you know, this is a bloodbath. This number just keeps getting, the most they can make keeps going lower. And I told you before, no one on the street would take that trade, would do these type of trades. And the same thing in GTII. Who's writing a negative story? The stock is 65 cents. What are they looking to do? To go to 63 cents? They sold it short. They're trying to do anything. And it just doesn't make any sense. You want to beat a dead horse? Knock yourself out. We hear about stock settlement, and that's what the game is. Excuse me.
What do you expect when the first rip comes in finger? What price, what size, how far up?
For some reason, I think it's going to be somewhere between $9 and $15. For some reason, I got that number stuck in my head. I'll say conservative. Let's make it 12.
Okay.
Again, that's my opinion based on, you know, the old high of 17, the new recently high of 10. I think we break through there, so we'll be somewhere between 10 and 17. I'm just picking a number of 12.
The dividend on
I know, just let me just say this. I know players, okay, that are following finger motion that like to buy the new high. So the new high for the year, what was it, 990 or something like that? So when it breaks through 10, they'll be buying it.
I see.
They like to buy the breakouts.
Because that confirms that it's headed up.
Yeah, that's
They
how
don't
I
want
look at it.
dead money. They have other opportunities. When the dividend on GTII becomes due, do you think it's going to cause a
Yes.
squeeze?
Dividends, all you have to understand, everybody on this phone, we're all the short sellers now. The company gives a dividend. You're the short seller, you owe the shareholder the dividend. If you can't create it, where are you getting it from? So just think about it. Just reverse it. We're all the short seller now. The company's giving it a dividend. You owe it. When they call you up and say, hey, deliver the dividend, what are you going to say? F you? I don't want to? So the brokerage firms, E-Trade, Ameritrade, Schwab, all of them, have a liability because they have to give people the dividend. Are they going to create a dividend and put it in everyone's account? Well, the lawyers and everybody are watching, so let's see what happens.
Here's a question from a frustrated investor or a Generation Z investor. Every CCP stock, every Chinese stock pops. Why is it taking so long for Finger?
Because they're just learning Chinese. They got to learn Mandarin. It's not easy. Cantonese, they have to learn it. The egg rolls are in the... How about the egg rolls are in the fryer? I don't know what to say. I don't know.
I have a feeling if you look back, those stocks took a long time before they popped. So, could GTII be driven into bankruptcy and the shorts would then be able to walk away.
Sure. So if you think the company's just going to let them walk it down after doing dividends, hiring lawyers, having Alpine, having the Kramers, all this stuff, all this proof, they're just going to let it walk away because they're trying to walk it down? Trust me, there'll be 15 more traps between here and there. We're not letting them get away. They're short over 400 million shares. We're not letting them get away.
I sent it to you. I just thought to ask you because you probably thought about it. Yesterday, Finger filed to say that their accountant is legit and that they don't have any Chinese government officials in their investor base.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
Don't you think that's maybe a prelude for something?
I think that's no, I don't think that. I think that's the SEC wants to make sure that the company is compliant and that they don't have any Chinese government officials in their company. And I believe I assume they said no. I didn't read it, but I heard about it. But so there's no Chinese government officials here. So the company is like it's Starbucks, McDonald's, Tesla, whoever, Apple. They're the same company, right? They do the same thing. They do business in China. They're a Delaware corporation that does business in China. That's like any of us could do the same thing.
Do you think that funds, Funds, or whales will front run the move in Finger?
Yes.
This isn't a courtroom. You can give bigger answers than yes or no.
Yes, I do. Why? Because I've actually explained it to people, and they understand. When they stop selling, it's going to be impossible to buy. So you have to buy. If you want to buy, you have to buy it while they're selling it. Because once they stop and they can't sell it anymore, it will be trying to buy 10,000 shares. They'll take the stock up $3 because no one's going to sell it. So that's what happens.
Do you think Lynn Partners people are going to go to jail?
Yes. The paper trail always leads back to the money. And then when they just go back and look at that, I forgot his name again. The guy from what was that money manager who killed Credit Suisse?
Harold
Bill
Mincer.
Haig, whatever his name is.
Oh,
Just
Bill Wang.
Yeah, just go look at the stories. When they got busted for their fraud, everyone in the organization is ratting each other out, trying to save jail time, and giving each other up. That's the same thing that's going to happen to the Kramers, Alpine, and Lynn. Once they get busted losing money and the feds are knocking at their door, trust me, they'll all be singing.
This guy, I think this guy is set up, but I'll ask it anyway. I'm not afraid of any question.
Good.
Is GTE done? It seems like a lot less chat about it.
Yes, we don't talk about GTI anymore.
It's just unbelievable. This question, I can't check on it because I can't get into my phone, but did the 10 and 11 strike prices disappear on Finger? I didn't notice that, but somebody...
No, I didn't notice it.
Somebody said that they have.
They probably moved it down because now they have the 2.5, 3.5, the 4.5, the 5.5. They added 5 new strikes in the middle there.
But they can't just eliminate a strike.
No, they can't disappear. They can't eliminate it. No, they can only eliminate it when it's over with.
Right. So with that, I think. Let me see. There might have been one more.
Hold on a second. Wait a second.
Is that busy?
To say right now for everybody.
Is this busy?
I'm going to say GTII. I'm talking about it. Okay. I'm in the middle of my call. Yes, we are not giving up on GTII. We are going to circle back and rip their hearts out with newly, freshly printed money off of Lynn Partners back. Lynn Partners is going to help us destroy the Kramers. Thank you very much.
So what's your sense of when on Finger and how high and all that?
Again, I look at it this way. Finger to me looks like it's ready to rip. That's my opinion. That's my trading. It's just a gut feeling. I can't tell you the second it's going to go. I'm not a chart guy. I told you that 50 times already. You can see the big offers come in every once in a while when the stock looks like it's ready to pop. And they just threw 4,800 at 517. It was offered at 518, 300. and someone jumps in front of them by 1 penny, they don't like to sell it. They're just trying to stop the upside. They want you to look at it and say, oh my God, someone's got 4,800 shares to sell at 517. All right? Oh, now he's got 1,900 to sell at 514. They front run the spoof. So the spoof was the 4,800. Now someone drops 1,900 down lower, and they're trying to sell less shares and try to move it down. It's the same pattern. There's not much more to say. If I was doing it now when I was a short, I offer 100 shares, right, at 511. There you go. They start moving it lower.
Do you think one of the 4 shorts, it looks like the Lind Partners, quote unquote, syndicated this to 4 different groups. Do you think one of those groups will turn on the others and start trying to cover before they do?
The paper trail does not go away. They will follow it. The feds are not that stupid. They understand what they're doing. The more shares they sell, the more they have to hide, the more margin money. There's 100 things that can go wrong here. All right? If anybody has any questions about GTII, go out there and short the stock at 65 cents and see how you feel. The most you can make is 65 cents. And the most you can lose is infinite. Go ahead, go knock yourself out. Same thing in Finger. You're shorting a company that's got fully financed, okay? Fully financed with a short of 167 million. And if you want to go out there and short the stock, good luck. And you can just see them stacking the offers, moving it lower because the stock is getting ready to go again. So they need to keep pushing it lower. It's the same stupid patterns. And if you were short, what would you be doing? For everyone on this phone asking these questions, take the other side and look at the short. Be the short seller. Understand how they think. That'll help you on the long side. And just remember, these are short sellers that are exposed. Information about them has been exposed. Everything about them, the truck in D.C., exposing them. Everything is here to expose them. They've been exposed. That's why the volatility is slowing down, because obviously they're exposed. And they know it. We all know it. And you're just sitting here. We all say the same thing. One day it's going to happen. You're going to sit there and say, well, I missed it, or I should have bought more, whatever you want to say. We don't know when it's going to go. But it feels and looks like a stock to me that's getting ready to go. You can look at this stock, all right, and you can say, either this guy's an idiot or he really understands trading. So let's see what happens. I'm going with that I'm not an idiot, and I think it's going to go.
If Finger starts to get out of this situation and runs and achieves a higher stock price where it stabilizes, maybe raises some money, what's the future ahead for Finger?
Listen, you have to do that yourself. It's right there. Just think about the company. They are all tied to a recession-proof industry. How many people would leave their cell phone at home or take their cell phones away from their children? Everybody on this phone call, tell me, raise your hand. Think about that. Go home and take your phone from your kids, take it from your wife, and no one has any more cell phones in the U.S. We're all addicted to it. It's like crack. We're all hooked on it. The Chinese are hooked on it. Everyone has cell phones. You can't survive in China because you need your cell phone to pay off all your bills. They don't use money anymore. All right? So this is an important part of the world right now. Chinese have to pay for their top-up minutes. Remember, we used to have phone cards you had to buy you can get more minutes by buying a phone card. In China, you have to buy the cell phone minutes through companies like Fingermotion. All right? The Chinese government allows them to exist. From that, everyone has a cell phone. The company knows what everybody's doing. We could tell how fast you're driving. They could tell what you eat, because you're buying everything using your phone, so they can see all that information. And that's why they were selling it to the insurance companies. All that data, they could tell you. They could tell whether you're a smoker, a drinker, and you drive 300 miles an hour. That no one's going to insure you because you're on a path to death. These are things that's why the company has got those major deals with these insurance companies. All right, that's the data. They have the top-up minutes. They do, just follow what they're doing. They do the text messaging. In China, if you have a BMW dealership, you can't send out a message to all your clients that you've got a discount on an oil change this month. You have to go to Finger Motion, it gets it approved by the government, and then you can send it out after paying the fees. That's what Finger Motion does. So again, just go watch the videos, educate yourself on it, and you can see what they're doing. That's all. It's right there. You make your determination if you want to invest and stay with the company.
Would you buy January calls and Finger? Is there a downside?
I'm not a long-term option guy. I'm a short-term guy. If it makes you feel good and you're nervous about it, and you think that buying something out in January, I think this thing is ready to go in the short term. And I understand options expire. I got the whole thing. But if you were to buy the January, whatever they are, I'm sure they're 5 times higher than the front month that you're seeing now, right?
Right.
Premium.
I don't know. One guy's saying that he thinks you don't know what ready to rip means. Whatever.
I don't know what that means.
Wes Christian filed the lawsuit, 50 John Does. What's happened to Wes Christian?
I'm not. It's public companies. I'm not. I can't get that information. I can't. He's a lawyer. He has to release it, not me.
Will Finger dump a lot of shares into the shorts like AMC and other stocks if the stock starts to go up? Will they make a deal with the shorts?
I doubt that they'll make a deal with the shorts. I can't tell you if they ever raise money and do anything. That's up to them someday.
Well, of course, if it goes up, they should look at every healthy company needs to raise money. But
listen, the company is standing back, exposing the shorts for all of us, right? All the moves that they're making have been the right moves. You can't hold a company accountable for what you're seeing with security fraud. That's got nothing to do with it. I've said it 1,000 times. Wall Street is so crazy. How does the tail wag the dog? How does the tail controls the dog? How does stock settlement control a public company? So all these people asking these questions, how does stock settlement control a public company? What does that have to do with Finger Motion? Stock settlement. Nothing. Finger Motion has nothing to do with stock settlement. That's the U.S. stock settlement system, which is completely broken, and the SEC needs to monitor it and to stop the fraud. We all have to stop saying the companies are bad. Companies do not go into business under laws of the SEC, and if they do anything wrong, they go to jail. All right? Don't get me wrong, there's always a few bad apples, but public companies are not here trying to destroy themselves. CELU, who I met with at 80 cents, is now 29 cents. And this company raised money and is working on infectious diseases. Whether they work or fail tomorrow, you have to have failures to move to get something that would work, right? Not everybody hits lightning out of a bottle and say, oh my God, we just did this research, it works. We got the cure for cancer in an hour. It takes years. But what does that have to do with stock settlement? Stock settlement is killing that company and taking away the opportunity to save your life. How about thinking about that? That seller is Yorkville. We pointed it out. But the company needed the money, and the government doesn't protect them, and this is what it looks like. It has nothing to do with the company. If you went to see the company and the employees were there and you see them and what they're working on, you would say, oh my goodness, this guy was a former traumatic brain injury. He was a neurosurgeon at a trauma center. That's the CEO of that company. And he was a spin-off of Biogen. These are real deal people that have no clue about making short selling and have no idea what to do. Thank God you don't own CELU working on diseases that could save your life. Your stock, you'd be down 70%. And it raised money.
Could a gamma squeeze happen in Finger?
Yes. I think that the new options can draw in some new people to play. Instead of a dollar spread, you only have a half a point now to each option. If you're buying options, do the same thing. You can buy 20%. So let's say the market is 50 to 65 cents. You could bid. You could buy 10 at 60 cents, and then bid 55 cents, and then bid 50 cents. And they called it legging into your position, meaning accumulated at different levels.
One guy's, I just don't think it matters here. I don't think our buying has anything to do with it, but he's wondering, is it better to buy options or stock in order to create more momentum for Finger?
Well, my friends, I know a guy who bought 1,000 calls the other day. They sold some of the fives at 50 cents. All right? I reported it on the phone. Right? The guy bought 1,000 calls. I put it up. The guy bought 1,000 calls of the fives at 50 cents. Right? The short sold them to him. And what are they today? They're 70 to 80 cents. All right? They were as high as 95, as someone told me. All right? So when they sold them the stock, the options, they're basically short 100,000 shares. So that's a quick 100,000 shares that they're short. So yes, you can build this position quickly. You can build it quickly and get short more shares rather quickly with options.
Could you make more money at the casino for us than we will in the stock market? Someone's asking.
No, absolutely not. You know why? Because I don't have the balls to stand there and bet $10,000 and be able to see $10,000 go off and on a roll of the dice, or a roulette wheel, or whatever you're playing. People that do that have big balls. Excuse my French.
So this one persistent gentleman wants to know what is. You answered this, but I guess it didn't come across. What is the downside of buying call options for Fingers for next year?
There is no downside. I'm just trying to say I'm not a long-term option guy. I'd rather add up all the short-time misses, and I think I'll be below what you'll pay for next year's calls.
Yeah, it just costs a lot of money. That's all.
It costs. You're paying for time. I don't want to pay for time. I do the opposite.
And
that's my fault. That's what I looked at. I was never taught. I'm not a long-term option guy. I'm here for the short term. So I look at it differently, and I'll tell you straight out of the gate. I'm a short-term guy. I'm not a long-term option guy. I'm a long-term stockholder, but when I think something's going to move on the short term, you look towards the options. That's the short-term trade.
And obviously, the short term hurt last month. We'll see if it works this month. There's always risks, whatever way you would do it.
There's risking owning the stock. There's risking shorting the Dow. There's risk buying oil. There's risk in Bitcoin. There's risk in everything. If you don't think there's risk, then you're on the wrong conference call. There's risk every day. There's risk you're going to walk outside your house and get hit with a rock. There's everything. Anything can happen any day.
One gentleman has noticed.
If you want to understand naked short selling security fraud, then you're on the right call. Again, GTII, some guy writing a Seeking Alpha article, trying to knock the stock down. For what reason? It's because he's short. That's it. If the guy had some nerve, say, hey, I'm short 100,000 shares. I shorted it just now after I put my story out, and I'm short at 64 cents.
So that's legal. That's legal under Gary Gensler, I guess.
Yeah,
they don't investigate that. One guy's saying he doesn't think without government intervention that there'll ever be a short squeeze.
If you think like that, this is going on forever, then you need to sell go buy some IBM, go do something else, and go away. There's nothing I can do about that. If that's how you feel and that's what you believe, then you move away. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Somebody's pointing out the puts are rising a little bit, I guess, in volume on September puts for fingers, so maybe they're hedging for a downward turn. I don't know. They might be creating synthetic shares too. It's all a bunch of crap.
What puts are they seen trading? I'm looking at November.
He says
there's not one puts traded. I look at October.
He says the fours and the threes.
Listen, let me go through it. There's
fours and the threes.
There's 1 3.5 put in October, and you're looking at the threes for this month. You're saying that today they bought 1,200 puts of the threes.
He didn't say how many.
The open interest is 1,200 puts, and the market in them is 0 to 5 cents.
They didn't trade.
If you
today.
think you want to follow the shorts, the only strike that they have any activity left is the fours. They have 1,900, and those are 20 to 30 cents. So if you want to look at the put side, those are the ones to play. All right, but everything they did on the puts already, they already hedged it, so that basically is a waste of time. That's over with already. We consumed their 1,900, whatever, how many shares they shorted against those puts.
MULN hired Wes Christian and is suing the brokerage community. What do you think about it?
I think the CEO had his opportunity when I spoke with him, and he jerked it off. He wasted his time, and now he just destroyed himself. He listened to his lawyers. That's what he did.
Wes Christian has been on the GTII case for a long time. Obviously, something is wrong, isn't it?
Yes. He doesn't know it. He's been defending a different company. Instead of GTI, he's been doing another company. Listen, people, go file a lawsuit. Call your lawyer up and say, I want to file a lawsuit. How long is it going to take to get discovery in this security fraud world? He'll sit there and they'll say, well, it could take a year or 2 years, Oh, it won't happen in an hour like MMTLP? How many days has it taken for MMTLP to get through the court system? Did they get through the court system yet? William?
No.
Oh, it didn't go through the court system yet. Oh, okay. So it's taking its time. They're taking the long road to get to the court system to get an answer.
All this action.
Just wait. While we're talking about it, Alpine is being threatened to shut down by all the regulators want to shut them down, and yet they're still alive. Oh, why? Because the court system allows them to defend themselves, like a murderer on death row, right? He should be shot and hung because he murdered 20 people, but yet the court system allows him to go through the appeals and all this stuff so he won't be killed.
Also, Gary Gensler refuses to enforce. He's the head guy. He could shut him down and then have the courts do something, but he does it the other way around, letting the courts wander it through.
Right.
Now I forgot what the question was I was going to overtalk you with. Oh, this guy's saying, how can a squeeze happen when all they have to do is print endless amounts of shares? It's not for free. When they printing press shares, it's not for free. They still have costs.
If you think it's that easy, everyone go to the Caymans, go knock on a bank, tell them you want to put some money up, you want to sell stock using the market maker exemption. You can go to Wedbush. They'll let you use their I forgot the term, where they let you make a short using their license. I forgot the name of it again. I forgot what we called it. But go knock yourself out. Go make it short. If you believe that you can do it.
Put out your shingle. Hang your shingle.
No, it's they allow you to use their direct market access. There you go. How's that one? I fired up
Edward just said direct market access.
There you go. Direct market access. They let you go sign up and you become a naked short seller. Knock yourself out. It's that easy.
And you won't go to jail, right?
You won't go to jail. You're better off than being a cocaine dealer. Just go naked short seller. It's very easy. You can just print all the money you want. Just go to the Caymans. I'm sure you'll see what's his name there, the guy from Alpine. I think that's where he was housed out of the Cayman Islands.
John Hurry.
Yeah, John Hurry, right. That's ending beautiful, Fred. His whole career, he stole all this money, and now everybody's on his back, right? You think the regulators are not pissed off going after him?
I think the questions are getting downright idiotic. So
Listen, again, people. Someone wrote a negative story about GTII. It's a worthless story. The stock is 64 cents. The only person who would waste their time writing that story is somebody who's short, who was paid by a short. End the conversation. We know the company is building and fighting the short sellers for 3 years. All right? Alpine got busted by the DTC for having a concentrated short position. Shortly after that, every regulatory body is after them to shut them down. The problem is hidden somewhere in that camp somewhere. That's where all these trades are hidden. Where they're doing, they're going to lead back to them. That's it. There's nothing you can say about it. What is GTI going to do about it? They tried everything, right? They got lawyers, they got this, they got that. Everything they're doing, pulling all the stops to make this happen.
Utah or Florida on Thursday?
Oh, I hate the Gators. Kick them. Utes, kill them.
All I know is Djokovic is going to win the Open. So you don't need, unless you want to stay away from your gambling habit, you don't need to answer any more questions.
Well, again, this is, GTII, we're circling back. And you know what? When Wolf ran to $4, I had a lot of friends selling it, and they were adding positions in both Finger and in GTII. Then Wolf pulled back, so they stopped selling Wolf. Now they're buying more Wolf there, all right, for the next, I told you. When Bitcoin goes up, Wolf is going to go, and with that BlackRock ETF getting approved, I look for the Bitcoin and the crypto stocks to go up again. So, again, friends of mine own a lot of shares of Wolf, but they're invested and they're staying put. When they sell it, they'll come help us out on the GTI and the Finger front.
You've compared Finger to VW. How high can Finger go in a squeeze?
I think it can go as high as VW. I think it could be $1,000 in a blur.
Should you split nines against the dealer's 7?
I don't play blackjack. I play craps. That's what I play. And I only go to a table, and I've been looking for 20 years for a left-handed, red-headed young lady to throw the dice, and we actually have a shareholder that fits the bill. And I can't wait for when this is over. She will come throw the dice. That's my lucky charm. I'm waiting 20 years for that.
All right. Well, I think you've done your job today. And
that's it. No more questions.
Well,
it's the same pattern over and over again. If anybody wants to go become on the dark side, just go write a Seeking Alpha, become an author, and go write whatever negative story you want. You're allowed to say whatever you want. Management sucks. The channel checks. Their whisper numbers their earnings are going to be below. Everything is bad. China's in recession. The moon, the man on the moon, you name it. You could say whatever you like.
Would the shorts cover before this 3-day weekend?
With the shorts cover for a 3-day weekend, I don't know if it makes a difference. It doesn't mean I don't think they. I think that if there's any small players that have gelling around, they would cover. They cover.
When do you think the finger squeeze starts, and how long will it last?
It depends when that first move between here to $12. I can actually tell you, when I see if there's any resistance at the first breakout.
Is everything you say a guarantee, or is it not financial
advice? Yes, it's 100% guarantee. I guarantee that all your tires won't go flat. Your wife will be a good cook. Your girlfriend won't leave you. Yes, I guarantee it all.
Timothy Sykes is closing for the weekend.
Excuse me?
Timothy Sykes apparently is closing the shorts for the weekend.
Yeah, Timothy Sykes is a worthless piece of trash. That guy couldn't trade his way out of a paper bag, as we say. He's a fraud. He comes out there. I could pick any stock in the world. Go out there and tell everybody that the company's a fraud. Go out there and have your friends just sell it at the market. They work at these day trading firms. You got to remember, these day trading firms, they can't borrow shares. So they're using the market maker exemption. If you want, go to a day trading firm, put up $100,000, you're a naked short seller. Congratulations. Go knock yourself out. That's what Timothy Sykes tells the world.
Are you staying at the Howard Johnson's in Vegas?
Yes, I am.
If GTI and Finger never squeeze, are you going to boycott the stock market? I'm telling you, the longer you stay on, the questions get more and more.
I like that one. That was a good one. But I boycott the stock market. I tell everybody every day that the U.S. equity markets are completely counterfeited. Stay away. I tell you that every day. If you're fighting with a group of people that are fighting the fight, that's a different story. I haven't looked at Microsoft, IBM, Costco, you name it, in years. I haven't looked at these companies.
This gentleman is interested in investing. Does Finger have a valid contact number or address of business? Info online. You're just full of crap, whoever this guy is. Go to www.fingermotion.com. Don't come on here and try to scare people. You're worthless. I don't know how you live with yourself. Why do you side with the criminals? What's in it for you?
Right.
Is there any hope for Vocal?
You can say whatever you like. Everybody, some people like the Giants, some like the Jets. That's the way it goes. But misinformation will not be tolerated here.
No. Some days are diamonds, some days are gold. Is there any hope for Vocal?
I have no idea. We have to circle back after we destroy our friends here first.
Circle back. That's
I am not Fidelity Management. I don't have $100 billion under management. If I did, this would have been over with a long time ago.
Boat Bum says, go long on Black 13. That's not bad advice. I like Red 32 better.
I bet Red 25 and 27. Now that we're going down that rabbit hole.
Someday we'll all be out there with you having fun. And
listen, again, for those who don't know, I didn't travel here to go to the pool and play beach, hit the beach ball up in the sky and take sun. I haven't been in the sun. I've been inside working for 2 days that I've been here, and I will continue until I leave tomorrow.
Well, I hope you can find some paddleball or bocce ball while you're out there.
It's 100 degrees outside. I would love to go outside. I love the heat, but I've just been busy. And I went from a meeting this morning with 7 people to meetings last night with 9 people to meetings this afternoon with some other people. So that's what I do.
Well, it's incredible.
I go as fast as I can to educate. You make your own determination.
One gentleman said that you're a hero for all the work you've done in D.C. A lot of people are thanking you. So, you're doing a good job for everybody.
Listen, I'm doing it to protect my family. I thank you for your support. But again, this battle is something that I refuse to give up on. And, if you guys want to come along for the ride, it's great. I'm not going to stop. But again, I'm glad I've educated people. I told you, I know many people that have died, cancer, committed suicide, heart attacks, you name it. These guys like that Savvy Management, that fat bastard, I keep seeing his picture. He's at a Knick game spending everybody's money, and then he's got his apartment in Miami, down in Miami over there on Fisher Island, a $10 million apartment. These guys belong in jail. How the government has not locked that guy up or asked him where he got $10 million from. What crimes did he commit to get that? Because I don't see his trading patterns anywhere. Are
you shocked at how few people on Wall Street understand what's going on? Your friends and others?
Most people on Wall Street, like the guy from Morgan Stanley from Share and Tell, took the orders, okay? And he should be a man to give up the clients that he was doing it for, because he said it in the video, he did it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Who did you naked short for? Give them up.
No.
Give up the people. Give up their names. Put their names on Twitter and tell us who they were. Right? Give up their names. These guys are naked shorting. This is when I worked at Morgan Stanley. He'll remember the orders he did. Give us the names of the stocks and the time they did it. Make it easy for the Department of Justice.
Have you heard
And
of
if
the
you don't want to
plunge?
give them up, then you do the jail time for the fraud.
Have you heard of the plunge protection team?
Yes, I have.
What do you think of it?
I think they save the market all the time. And I think it's very hard to trade the U.S. equity markets when they're doing things like that.
Do you want to stay on and answer more inane questions?
No, that's good enough for me. All right? It's again, listen, you understand it. It's the same thing over and over again. Just remember, who wants less all the time? Who would write a story, waste their time on seeking alpha about GTII? Who would write a story about TIO? It was the TIO, so everybody knows, and this is what I heard about this company. I forgot the name of the firm. I'm not sure if it was Maxim. I can't remember the name. One of those firms. They called up the company. They told all their friends the company wanted to raise money. They called the company and tried to shake them down to do a secondary. And the company told them no. And the stock took off and it went to $3 or $5. I can't remember the price. The company caught the shorts because they didn't want to do the secondary. So the company went out and hired Hindenburg to do the attack. Pretty easy. The company had nothing to do with it. And it all started with the brokerage firm soliciting the company to try to do a secondary, shaking them down. And they told them no. That's how the whole started with that one.
Oh.
So you want to take it out on TIO? There you go. I gave you the answer. I gave you the truth that would happen, but now you have to deal with it.
All I know is whoever wants less is going to get a lot of Wes.
That's a good one. Anyway, listen, everyone, have a great day. I got other shit to do, but again, we'll speak tomorrow. Have a
All
great
right.
night.
Thanks a lot, Ham. You're the
I
best.
got it.
Okay, there we go. Busy Brands. Busy Brands. So busy, Ham said you're very tall. And I told everyone that Jenny's husband is very tall. I wasn't trying to cause any kind of problems. Wasn't trying to cause any problems, but anyway, Ham was saying he had a great meeting with you, Busy, and I wish I could have been out there, but next time. Jenny, welcome back. Everybody has you in their thoughts and prayers, and he's a liar. Well, if he turns you into that, from that, I wonder what he's doing with the shorts. Oh, he's just having fun, protecting your identity. There were a couple of questions here and I'm sorry, I forgot to ask Cam about GNS, but he wouldn't have answered it. He doesn't know anything about it. Someone was asking me, what's the advantage of putting your shares in AST versus not? I've answered that a few times, but to me, the main advantage of being at American Stock Transfer is the security of knowing that your shares exist. But the negatives are you're letting your brokerage firm off the hook, I think. I'm not a lawyer. Check with a lawyer. But I think your brokerage firm, by delivering shares, has fulfilled its contract, albeit late. But that late, it's debatable if it has any value because the stock was a private company anyway. So what was the harm, really, other than, your own anxiety, a lawyer might say. But anyway, that's one thing. By moving your shares to AST, I think you're forfeiting any kind of action against your broker-dealer and Wall Street. The other thing is, if you leave your shares at your placeholder, your fake shares at your brokerage firm, it's possible a settlement will be arranged. Let's call it a financial system settlement, could be arranged quickly or in many stages. So you could have more chance. How do I word it? You might have a higher likelihood of liquidity of some size if you left the stock with your brokerage firm. Those are the only two reasons to do it. A win on a settlement, a legal settlement, and a financial system settlement, or both, I guess, that could come more quickly than the shares at AST. To me, since the other side is arguing of fraud and that, you know, we should just have exercised caveat emptor and all these other crap, to me, the certainty of being at AST outweighs the unknown of getting a payoff via various actions with the brokerage firms and dealers. People feel about this differently. And I still have some shares in my IRA that I got to figure out if I can move it or not. Every time I get involved in these calls, the day goes by and I forget to do it. But maybe I'll try to look into that tomorrow. So it's a mixed bag. That was one question somebody asked. Another one was... someone pointed out, and I meant to say it to him, but someone pointed out that the rules exist to stop all this, and that's true. They just choose not to exercise it. I'm terrified to move my MMTLP out of Fidelity, as they will show it as a profit of $2.90 a share. Well, that shouldn't terrify you. You can report it whichever way you want. I think there's quite a bit of evidence that you could argue that it's worthless right now. But at $2.90 a share, I can see if you paid less than that and you have a lot of shares, that might be a large tax obligation. I'm inclined to leave my shares in my IRA because if something good happens, it's in my IRA. If I move them out, I don't know. It's a debate I have. I've got to make my decision. Yeah, Tom, then don't do that. That's a lot of taxes. I don't know. That's only, of course, one metric. What I feel great having these paltry number of shares, my shares, compared to you guys, it's paltry, but very expensive shares. I feel great having them out because I believe in the project and I like oil and gas, and it's like being in a private placement. But that's a different mentality than many can apply to the situation. Jenny, Rebecca, all day long, how do you find the world? Nothing new on logic. Well, I suppose that's true, but there was a minor filing that's not worth going over, and today, nothing is ever for sure, but today is the 10th day from when Logic and ASPA, Aubrey SPAC, answered the final comment from the SEC. Today's the 10th day. So my understanding is the SEC has to give an answer within 10 days. Now, what I'm going to give a caveat to that, because I also received some information that the 10 days started last week because maybe there was a new comment. So I can't give you the definitive you're going to get approval tonight, but I'm going to be looking. And it's quite possible that approval on the ASPA merger, the acquisition of Datalogic, is approved by the SEC today. Based on the original information I had, and I'm not privy to information that I can show you in black and white. This is what it is. Sleuthing and trying to put things together. But I think today is the day that you can expect the approval of the the acquisition of Datalogic by Aubrey SPAC, which would be fantastic news. I think today's the day. But if I'm wrong, 10 days from sometime last week would put us in the following week for that approval. So if I'm wrong, it's just a matter of a few more business days. But I think it could be tonight. You say, is there anything new on Logic? That's the main thing that everybody's waiting for. Once the SEC approves the S3, gets all confusing. The S4, once the SEC approves the S4, then they can announce the proxy period, which is 10 days. Then they can announce the record date and the effective date. And then they can possibly announce either prior, during, or after. They can announce any kind of acquisitions that M&A activity they've been working on, both for the Aubrey SPAC side, which is going to be called Collective Audience as a public NASDAQ company, or the Logic shell, which I believe Brent Sun will not leave naked. He had a great deal signed up that he let expire in December. He's been working on this for 6 months, 7 months, and he has the cream of the crop to look at. He probably has 24 or more companies to screen, and I don't think he's left it to the last minute. I think he is going to make sure either before the proxy is voted on and the effective date, at the effective date, or soon thereafter, he's going to have a, for lack of a better word, dynamic and exciting company to put into the shell. And I think that shell portion of your investment will be worth 60, 70, 80 cents a share, because that's a higher number than the 40 to 60 that he could have gotten with the previous deal. And once the Aubrey SPAC deal is approved and all the Datalogic revenue, the engine of Logic goes there, I think that starts out life at $1.25 a share to your interests, and it could be as high as $2.50 or even $3.50 a share out of the gate because of the other acquisitions that I believe they have lined up. So that's the story. Has anything changed? Anything new? Not really. It's just that, darn it, we have to wait another day. And we're all Generation Z, Generation Millennial, Generation X, Generation... I ordered my computer from Amazon and I expect it delivered in 25 minutes or I get it for free. But sometimes you got to wait. What is the lowest price I expect in finger squeeze? Well, you're asking me in a squeeze. In a squeeze, I think the stock can go to $500 in an hour. It could go to $2,500. But the lowest number, the most conservative number, the number that I think you can look at without, this nobody has a crystal ball, but you can look at without a whole lot of concern would be 10 times wherever it breaks out. So if we assume that it breaks out from here, $50. If it breaks out from 7, $70. If it breaks out from 9, $90. Those would be the kind of numbers I would use. Simply 10 times where it breaks out. Every short squeeze I looked at, when I looked at this, if I don't have, I printed things out and I did whatever. I don't have it here. It's in a storage box somewhere. But the lowest number I think I saw was 8 times where it breaks out on the chart. And that was one out of so many. So in my rough calculation, I just used a low of 10 times the breakout. But there was an 8 times. So if you want to go at 8 times, go with 8 times. But I didn't look at every single squeeze, and I can't find the chart. I had it here. I don't know why. Here it is. Here's the chart I did on finger, and this is from this weekend. But the problem with my projection is, what's a breakout? I mean, you could argue the breakout is starting from here at around 6, or do you argue it starts from here or up here? I don't know. That's the subjective part of that call. But I'll show you on this chart. And this is me. This isn't Avid or Arca. Listen to Avid and Arca. But on my very simplistic chart that I was taught over the years how to do this, but everybody's got ideas. I think these numbers here are basically 556, 657, 8, 850, 10. Those are kind of where those are the speed bumps. But I think once it breaks out here, I think you're looking at $46 and then $70. So that would be my minimum upside, is $50 to $70. There's my answer. When will we hear more about the Alpine situation for GTII? Well, Colin, I was calling into the judge, and she's taken a shine to me. So she told me she'd give me information privately, and I'll pass it along. No, that's being an asshole on my part. Who knows? Who knows when we'll hear more about it? You've got two dynamics going on. Alpine is saying that FINRA doesn't have a right to require Alpine to become a member of FINRA. That's one issue. The other issue is, does FINRA have the right to regulate Utah, basically? And then the third issue is, does it constitutionally have a right to exist and a right to enforce the securities laws that Congress gave to the SEC, that the SEC passed down to FINRA? Somehow these are gaining traction in the court system. But it's there. So how long does it take? They got some more time. So I'm going to guess that this could end up at the Supreme Court. How long do lawyers take? How long do lawyers take? I'm trying to listen for the answer. Lawyers are quick. They work quickly. They get things done lickety-split. And the courts are quick too? Wow. Then we should have an answer right away. Or wait a minute. Courts take a long time. So why would we keep asking, when is Alpine? When are we going to hear more on Alpine? I tell you, my opinion is when GTII gets back to $9, $10, $12, you won't need the courts. You won't need Gary Gensler. You won't need anything except the panic going on the overseers of Alpine. Alpine is toast. They committed 35,000 violations of the cease and desist order that FINRA put out. But Gary Gensler before Congress said, we'll just do what the courts tell us to do. Then why are you getting paid to be the chairman of the senior regulatory body that protects the integrity of markets and protects investors? Oh, we'll just wait for the courts to make their decision. I really don't think he has a dick. I think it's missing. September 7s for Finger are 40 cents. I bought at 25 cents. All right, so Dominic, let me look at where those are trading. You've got a decision to make, Dominic. And I don't know how many you bought, Dominic, but it's a dilemma, because if the bid will disappear on the 7s unless the stock goes above 7 before expiration, you have a profit. And one thing you can do is roll your position up into higher 7s and take your original money off the table. I personally think that even though it's pushing it, I expect, and I wish I had stuck to my own instincts. I listened to everybody else. But I told people my experience raising money, working with companies, is that August is dead time. The end of July, August, until people get back to their desks after Labor Day, nothing happens. And I wish I had listened to that gut instinct. But on the other hand, it's easy to look back and say, oh, you were right, whereas we didn't know. But I think that next week, Finger's going to run once everyone gets back to their desks. And whatever's been in motion that shows up in these charts might come into play. But anyway, what I'm saying, Dominic, right now, you could sell those calls. I have some of the 7s, not very many, but you could sell them for 35, and you could go out and buy the 11s maybe for 20. Probably not. Probably for 25. Maybe for 20. But then you give up. I like where you are with the 7s. I think it's fantastic. I think the stock goes over 7, and then you have real equity. But all I'm trying to hammer home, there could be volatility in the stock such that before the 15th of September, it comes back down. So if you have an opportunity to take profit, let's say you have 10 of them. You sell 10, you go out, you try to buy the 11s, maybe you get 15 or 20 of the 11s, and you take your original money off the table. Anyway, that's just making up an example that doesn't exist right now. Or the Dominic, 9s at 25. I don't think you'll get the 9s at 25, but you might get the 9s at 30 right now. You might get them at 30. So it's not much of an improvement. I would just ride with it right now. I would just ride with it. I have the 7s too, so I have the same decision to make. And right now, I'm hoping the stock goes up this week because that's what it looks like it's going to do. But I don't think I'm going to do anything until Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Thursday of next week. Because, and I know that's pushing it again, very close to expiration date. But I really think the 3-day weekend is meaningful. Everyone gets back to their desk. And if you're working on this project, it's like a new school year. You get to work on it right away. And anyway, I don't know. Profit Day tomorrow or Friday. Dominic, I would love that. For me, I would love that. FINRA seems to have jurisdiction over MMTLP Halt, but not over Alpine. That's not true, Mike Rousseau. FINRA, I don't know the language. I'm not a lawyer, and I'll use horrible English. FINRA violated out. That's not English. Alpine 2 years ago. And they FINRA expelled Alpine. And the two ways an expelled broker-dealer can appeal. One is through the court systems, and the other is through the SEC. And so you're now conflating the fact that our court system is full of inexperienced judges and judges that don't understand this situation, and they're just kicking it up just so they don't do anything wrong. They're treating a asinine constitutional question as if it's a legitimate constitutional question because they don't want to lose to their bench. That's my opinion. It's obviously a stupid argument, and they could rule on it. But if they rule on it, then they could be found that they did something wrong, and it goes to appeal, and it's a black mark. So the judges are just arguing, hey, Alpine's case has merit. We're gonna let it continue. It's such a lack of leadership, such a lack of cojones in the legal system. But it's not, the delay is not FINRA's fault. FINRA expelled Alpine. FINRA expelled Alpine. FINRA expelled Alpine. Alpine, there's a word for it. They suspended it. There's a word for it. Stay. They got a stay. And then they lost. They got another stay. And I don't know. It's all legal gamemanship. Not Legal Advice believes it's because they're hiding assets, which is almost certainly true. I think it might also include moving hot potato positions around to end up burning the prime broker and burning naive clients to protect clients who will be there when John Hurry tries to open up shop in Guadalajara. And I'm telling you, Gary Gensler doesn't care. And if that's not obvious to you, I don't know what judgment you're using. The court systems, Gary Gensler says, well, we'll leave it with court. So he can see out his time, collect his money, and he can be nominated for Secretary of Treasury or whatever the hell he's going after. He doesn't want to take any risk because he still has big goals. 125 million is not enough for him. His megalomania knows no bounds. But his life will come to a abrupt end like all of us. That's not a threat on my part. It's just reality. Whether he dies at 101 or at 81. And all of a sudden he has to face his maker. And what's he going to say? What's he going to say he did? Well, I just let the theft destroying lives of truckers and nurses and Americans and companies and cities because I wanted to wait for what the court had to say. Well, no, it's his job. Why does he cede his responsibility off against a slow-moving court system? I don't know, but it's not. FINRA is doing what FINRA was supposed to do. They expelled Alpine, and they're still trying to expel Alpine. So it's just simply false to say that FINRA had the authority to halt trading in MMTLP, but doesn't have the authority to expel Alpine. They did expel Alpine. Yeah, I'm already my own worst critic, Mojo. It actually scares the heck out of me. It scares the heck out of me. I've told you. My cousin was in town when my father died, and we went to Cafe Milano, my sister, my cousin, and I. And he's a bit of he had a great family, same grandmother, and he's a bit of a mix in terms of his mother, my godmother, is Catholic, but his father was a big guy, big strong hands, good guy, really good guy. I still remember his laugh. He was, gosh, I just can't remember. You know, it was some other thing like Pentecostal or Methodist, where you go and you listen to music and you have cookies afterward. Or anyway, it's a different one. So they used to go to they go to Mass every Sunday and the other, whatever it's called, if it's called Mass or service or whatever. So Danny knows a heck of a lot. And I told him, and I told both he and my sister, I told him and I told my sister that the one thing that frightens me above everything is if you get up there, and Jesus comes to you and says, I didn't know you. Get out of my sight. I never knew you. And then you're banished to eternity of being without God, of non-existence. That scares me. And my sister took a deep breath and she said, Bill, that's what, you sound just like your father. That's what Dad would say. And my father almost became a priest, and then he met my mother. But so anyway, Danny said, and I didn't know it. It just shows how little I know. But he said, well, faith, just faith as small as a mustard seed can grow and can I don't know how he finished the sentence, save you, I guess, but it just starts with a mustard seed, and I didn't know that line. And then I've told you guys, Denzel Washington, I love it. He said, I don't care if I'm first, I'm in the middle, or if I'm last. He said in an interview, I just want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. And it's just, God bless Denzel Washington. God bless him. Just to come out and say that, because it's not popular, but I loved it. I loved hearing it. And that's my attitude. I just want to be in that number. And I forget how I just got off on all that, but yes, it scares me when I look at my own. I don't need to judge anyone else at all, except in this fight, I'll bring it up that the people that are allowing this to go on, they're going to have to answer their own questions. But I have my own absolute outright fear of the wrongs I've done, but also the things I haven't done. And you're absolutely right. We're all going to face it. And yeah, man. And then it can paralyze you because, oh gosh, what am I going to do? But I figure all each of us can do is what we can do today to try to do good. What we can do today. We can't change yesterday. We really can't predict tomorrow. So all we really have is what we can do today. Be kind to someone. Don't cheat. My dad's two admonitions. And help. And I've also suggested to you that I'm starting to really believe that prayer, even the smallest of prayers, is one of the reasons we're alive, because we can pray, and for some reason that helps. Anyway, so prayer as well. I was watching a YouTube video, and up popped my one of my dear friends in London. Her father, she thinks, is alcoholic. He's an older man. He's 80, wealthy, big success, great family, but he comes from a macho world, German, and his wife is Spanish. And so I had sent her some videos of oh gosh, the guy that played Hannibal Lecter. Gosh, I always forget his name. The guy in A River Runs Through It. Anyway, the British guy. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right now. But anyway, one of his little blurbs showed up, and he was in an AA meeting, and he was talking, and he said he'll never forget when he was first in AA. He got up, he was all upset. It was 45 years ago. He got up to leave, and this man stood in front of him, Father O'Leary or something like that, with a cigarette, stood and looked him right in the eye. Where are you going? And I forget the little back and forth they said, but the father said, you're about to make a mistake. You're young. Anyway. So turn around and go back in. And so, God, what is his name? Oh God. Anyway, Hannibal Lecter asked the priest, what is the fastest, most effective prayer, Father? A Catholic priest. What prayer is the quickest and the most effective prayer that you know? And the priest took just a heartbeat. He said the most effective, the quickest, the most powerful. I'm sorry to say this, but this is what the priest said. The most powerful prayer is fuck it. And his point, I guess, was let it go, let God take care of it. And anyway, I don't know why I got off on all of that, but whoever just pointed out that we all have to face a reckoning, I agree with you. And it's like Lucinda Williams sang, we have to get right with God. We have to get right with God. And I don't know. That's all I can say about it. Anthony Hopkins. Thank you, Anthony. Tony. Khalil Gibran battled alcoholism. Well, I think most alcoholics are great people, the ones I've met. Not when they're drinking necessarily, but um, I like Khalil Gibran. I think he was Palestinian or Egyptian, but yeah, he's the one that said, let your children, when you're a parent, you shoot an arrow, let the arrow go as far as it wants to go, as it should go. Um, Sorry, Mike. If I got off track, it happens with me. FINRA's authority seems to be questioned in the courts according to not legal advice. Well, I read that differently. And I'm not a lawyer. But I don't know how you're framing your question. Yes, FINRA's authority is questioned in court by Alpine's attorneys. Yes, you're right. But I don't think the judges are questioning FINRA's authority. I think they're looking at an argument by well-paid lawyers, your money, that they're saying, hey, this is too big for me. If I make the wrong ruling, I got a demerit. It'll come back to me. Or worst case, the case could get... I actually see it differently. I think the judges see that Alpine has committed 36,000 violations in a year of the cease and desist. So I think the way I interpret it is the judge wants to make sure that her actions don't interfere with a proper resolution to this situation, which I have a feeling she believes is that FINRA should have this kicked out. But for some reason, she sees a legitimate argument that these lawyers have brought up, and she's kicking it out and up. But I personally don't think the courts are questioning FINRA's right to exist. I just think they're being very careful. I've used that analogy before, but courts and lawyers to a guy like me, it's like a dog walking into a living room full of cats. Hey, well, how's everybody? Hey, the food's over there. Let's just go over and get the food. Let's go to the door. Cats have all these rules and the status and the hisses and the pisses, and that's how courts are. And I don't know all the rules and protocols. But I don't agree with you, if that's what you meant, that the courts are questioning FINRA's right to exist. I do agree with you that Alpine's attorneys are questioning FINRA's rights. I do agree with you that. Hey, Juan Velez. Lebanese, yeah, he was evolved. I think he smoked too. But that's not a hard assumption. Yeah, I think $9 is tough for the shorts. Well, yeah, my dad died last year, and it does. I'm the eldest. Well, he kind of had. Anyway. I'm one of the eldest, and it makes you think about it. It makes you think that life is short, and so is busy brands. Just kidding, busy. Yeah, your loved ones, your dog is more important than the money. But I don't know. Little RD. Everybody's life experience is different, and not everyone is blessed with loved ones around them for all of their life. So as complex as it is, money achieves things on this side of existence that maybe makes it worthwhile. I don't know, but yeah. Okay, sorry. Meant FINRA's authority seems to be questioned in the courts. Oh yeah, not legal is right. If this case for some reason went that way, it would be a groundbreaking case, and it would probably undo a lot of actions. However, FINRA is a stepchild of the SEC. The argument isn't that the SEC doesn't have a right to do these things. So I think the government and the regulatory bodies would gather round and still expel the hell out of Alpine. God is love, not fear. Well, don't fear the reaper. Yes, I think God is love. But when you look in the Old Testament, there was a lot of smiting and smoting, and it's the New Testament after the love showed up. Yeah, when I have my money, I will only have the elite stock the rest of my life. I really think that we have to get out of, well, let's say you turn, I'll just use a fantastical thing. Let's say you turn $100,000 into $1 million. I'm just using it for simple arithmetic. I would think that you should put at least 900,000 elsewhere, or as safe, buy Costco, which is the stock that Munger owns. And it makes sense to me. It's a defensive stock. And then only play with 10% of your money in these markets. The over-the-counter markets and all markets in the United States are complete fraud, and Gary Gensler encourages it. Matthew 17:20 through 21. Faith as small as a mustard seed. See, that impresses me, John. I don't know all that stuff, and that really impresses me. Ask Cam when GTI went to 9 and they shorted it back down. But Mike, when it went to 9, COSM and its champion, and then someone they hired came over on behalf of the CEO and told everyone to get the hell out of GTII. Was that paid for? Was it part of a strategy? I don't know. But I don't think there's any coincidences in life. And all of a sudden, the bubble was popped. The squeeze was happening in GTII, in my judgment. Fidelity was paying 1,000% to borrow shares. Wells Fargo took away the buy button. And for some reason, three musketeers came over and said, hurry, 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 get out, get into COSM. It's going to run, it's going to run. It was all inaccurate information, all of it. Now you can judge whether they knew or not. It's scary thinking if they didn't know, because they holding themselves out as experts. Or if it were intentional. I don't think it much matters. You can also wonder if the Kramers and those people that were down $1 billion paid off somebody. The CEO, the company, shorts, they all know each other. I don't know. I don't buy your premise that when it went to 9 and they shorted it back down. I do believe they shorted it from around 4, 5, and 6 and drove it down. But I think that the initial escape from the vice of a short squeeze was provided by the three horsemen of COSM. Well, anyway, that's all behind us now. And we've got to take trading. There's a lot of actors in the markets, and you get everything set up and other people make decisions, and that's life. That's life. I'm not a diamond hands guy. People wanted to listen to those three people, get into COSM at 20, have it run to 84, have it come down to 30. They do a deal with the shorts, and then the stock is now 13 cents. Okay. I mean, I would argue that anyone that got into COSM at 20 or 22 cents probably did better than people who got into CRTD, which I thought and recommended that was going to work. So, I mean, things work and things don't. So, I can't argue about that. But I think that the squeeze was on in GTII. Now, I think what happened in that November, and that's why I think it was all coordinated. I think this was entirely coordinated. And I think there was a lot of baksheesh that changed hands. A lot. That's my opinion. So I think what happened is Alpine took over the position that was a bloody disaster from the Power Up Lending brothers, the Kramers. So then it was in Alpine's hands. And then new shorts came in, like those little animals in that movie, The Matrix, that attack the submarine, like those. And they were on the attack. And they drove it down, like you say, to under $1. It ran up, and they've been doing it since. Yes, I 100% believe that those people made money on the way down. And even some Alpine probably Hurry made a little bit of money. But they didn't cover, and they haven't made up all their losses. In the case of GTII, the geniuses, the Kramers, who were idiots, they started shorting that stock under 10 cents. They shorted it on the way up. No, they're not. They're not. They didn't make money on the way back down. Maybe they made some money. But what's the rest of your question? Did that hurt the shorts, or did they short from 9? The move to 9 hurt in the sense that Alpine took over. Cosmo coming in and getting us to pop the bubble helped the shorts. The shorts have continued to short, and if you want to argue they made money on the way, I think that's short-sighted because they haven't covered yet. So how do you define that they've made money? Yes, they've made money on the way down, but GTII is not doing a reverse split. GTII is not taking money from the shorts, and they've had the opportunity. So there's no covering. There's no situation where a reverse split is going to allow the criminals to take 90%, 95% of their money out of the accounts. Their money's tied up. Now, they are moving shares around and moving monies around. So in that sense, maybe they've moved a lot offshore. We know a lot of the trading was offshore. So sure, I think there's been money been made. But it's not over. It's not all she wrote in GTII. Oh, Mojo. Well, at least you were blessed with awareness, right? So that's the big step. 260 a day, 1 day more. Just wait, no problem. T.A. Strupp, thank you for your comment. Every comment you've made on this stream has been absolutely negative. But let me ask you, T.A. Strupp, who is going to fix the problem of MMTLP, T.A. Strupp? FINRA? All right, I have to go. Guys. I forgot I have a call. So we'll talk tomorrow.